The genome of all the microbes living inside and outside an organism is the fine microbiome. The human microbiome is also known as second genome. Every anatomical site, including skin, gut, oral mucosa, glands, etc., has its own microbiome. We can say that human beings are colonized by microorganisms, since, on the whole, 57% of the cells are microbial. Beside the human microbiome is the soil microbiome. Consider that 1 gram of soil can contain up to 100 million microorganisms. And the plant microbiome that is located in the aerial parts of a plant, in the rhizosphere and roots. In all these cases, a good microbiome is beneficial to its own host. Microorganisms inhabit the oceans too. Herein, they are present either as single cells freely floating or as communities associated to vegetable substrates like algae or to organisms like corals and fishes. These communities make up the so-called marine microbiome that is still largely unexplored and that can also reside in the sand, in the sediments, and in the water columns. Environmental and human microbiome are strictly connected. A person with a bad diet will have a fragile gut microbiome and consequently a fragile health. Likewise, a person eating fruits and vegetables derived from plants and soils with a poor microbiome will not nourish his/her microbiome and will develop a fragile health. On the contrary, a person eating healthy food, rich in fruits and vegetables derived from plants and soils with a healthy microbiome, will strengthen his/her microbiome, developing a good health. Have a look at what happened to corals with bad microbiomes. They are all dead. The same happens in soil with a bad microbiome. Nothing grows. A new microbiome has been recently discovered, the plastisphere, or the microbial community capable of colonizing and growing on plastic. Plastic waste is literally suffocating our world, and as you can see in these pictures, also the oceans are dangerously full of it. The fact that microorganisms can grow and reproduce on plastics rudely abandoned in the environment means that they get nutrients from it. That is significant because it means a degradation of the plastic material is happening. Somebody will want to know who are the main actors that together build up a microbiome. Well, all the microbial categories are involved. Bacteria, microalgae, viruses, unicellular organisms or protozoa, filamentous fungi, and yeast. Now, a straightforward question will be, are all these microbes good or bad for us? We are used to consider them bad, since we know them only for the diseases they cause. But this is not the whole truth. There are awful and malignant microbes, but also marvelous and fantastic ones. Let's get to know some of them. Among the worst bacteria, we can find the causal agent of flesh-eating disease, staph infection, meningitis, pneumonia, tuberculosis, cholera, and dysentery. There are diseases caused also by fungi and yeast. Fungi can affect the lungs, the brain, the nails, the oral cavity, and the guts. Bacteria causes diseases also in plants. They can damage strawberries and tomato plants and olive trees. Likewise, fungi are important plant pathogens. For example, they can affect grapes, cause race blasts on rice, or devastating wilt diseases in many plant species. In addition, some bad fungi can produce mycotoxins, extremely dangerous compounds that can cause illness or death to humans and animals following exposure via inhalation or consumption of contaminated food. Despite what we've just seen, the number of pathogenic microorganisms is very low. In fact, more than 99% of the known bacteria, viruses, protozoa, fungi, and yeast do not cause any disease and can rather be useful instead. Many microorganisms are used in food industries, in pharmaceutical industries, and in industrial biotechnology. Therefore, microorganisms, together with the compounds they produce, find numerous fields of application, ranging from agriculture to the production of biomaterials. Let's have a look now to some examples of beneficial bugs. For a start, we can have a look at acidic acid bacteria. Acidic acid bacteria can convert a number of carbon sources into biomolecules useful in food and beverages, chemical, medical, and pharmaceutical fields. They are commonly involved in vinegar, kefir, and kombucha production, and can be also found in other fermented beverages like wine, beer, and cider. Acidic acid bacteria can transform alcohols and sugars to produce a number of compounds that can be used in pharmaceutical industry. Lactic acid bacteria are mainly used in the production of fermented dairy products like yogurts, meat, and vegetable foods, but also sourdough. They're also used for bread fermentation to improve its properties and shelf life, and to delay bread staling. And here we are with filamentous fungi that we normally eat. Penicillium roqueforti is used for the production of a number of blue-veined cheeses, like Stilton, Roquefort, and Gorgonzola. Thanks to the production of enzymes, this fungus is involved in cheese ripening and flavor production. Likewise, Penicillium camemberti is the main ripening fungus found on the surface of soft cheeses such as Camembert and Brie. In 1928, Alexander Fleming realized that a mold later identified as Penicillium chrysogenum was capable of killing a wide range of harmful bacteria. His assistants Stuart Craddock and Friedrich Riley managed to isolate and purify the molecule responsible for this activity, penicillin, and so the era of antibiotics began. Fungi, as well as bacteria, can be used as agents of biological control to overcome the use of harmful pesticides. The secretion of metabolites with biological activity and the competition for space and nutrients with other pathogens leads to a reduction of pests and consequently to an healthy food. What about yeasts? Thanks to the ability to ferment sugars and produce ethanol and carbon dioxide, yeast predominates in most of the traditional fermented foods and beverages that are present in human diet. No leavening of bread or pizza would take place without yeasts of the species Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and no beer or wine would be obtained if yeasts didn't use grape sugars and barley maltose to produce ethanol and a large part of the flavors typical of these beverages. We have now realized what single microorganisms can do. Together, in a community, in a microbiome, they can be stronger, more powerful, and useful. It is a united we stand, divided we fall situation. This figure tells us that every aspect of our lives is part of a unique whole. Therefore, our health is strictly connected to the environment health and to the health of all the animals that share the planet with us. It is thus extremely important to find a way to recover what has been damaged or destroyed, and the microbial communities will help us in this. A good microbiome is capable of remediating and restoring polluted sites. Bioremediation is an interesting approach that has a lot of potential and that has been already applied for the treatment of contaminated sites. Selected bacteria and fungi can together use and transform dangerous compounds like petroleum, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, industrial solvents, pesticides, plastics, and metals. In light of a sustainable agriculture, fungi and bacteria can be used as fertilizers and, as we have already seen, as biological control agents and bioremediators. Microorganisms can also be exploited to produce biofuels. Microalgae are good candidates for production of biodiesel that so far rely on vegetable oil. Also, bioethanol is a good alternative and is produced through microbial fermentation of sugars and starches derived from agricultural and forestry residues. Microorganisms are also an alternative source of nutrients. Microalgae are rich in proteins, carbohydrates, fatty acids, minerals, and vitamins. Marmite, a spreadable cream so popular in the UK, is made of yeast extract, also rich in proteins and group B vitamins, while corn is rich of mycoproteins derived from the filamentous fungus Fusarium venenatum. Not only microorganisms like fungi are used to create biomaterials and eco-leather to make up shoes and clothes, but altogether they are an extraordinary source of bioactive molecules and useful enzymes. And finally, this is the BIQ house located in Hamburg, the first experimental building powered entirely by microalgae. Bioreactors are based on microalgae that, through the photosynthesis, produce all the biomass and energy necessary to power the building. The direct exposure to the sun increases the growth of microalgae, increasing in turn the quantity of energy produced. For all these reasons, it is necessary to conserve microbial diversity. And please do remember, to take care of it means that you care about yourself. Thank you.